everyone, and welcome to the American Scouser podcast. Another Monday night. We are back in action. I think it's been a while since we had a trio over here, but we're back. I am your host, as always, Timuchin here in Chicago. Literally just walked in from refereeing and yelling at parents. Great times, great times. It's a little toasty too, but hey, it is what it is. At least the weather is beautiful. It looked like there was going to be rain. There were clouds. I even told people, like, hey, if you guys see a lightning, let me know. But I think that was wishful thinking on my part. Nothing happened, and it was freaking sunny and hot as hell. So, but Gally's here. Gally, what's happening?
Hanging in there, hanging in there. It was not sunny and warm where I live today. I got up, and when I left my house at 5:11 to get in my car and drive for an hour and a half, there was basically frost on the outside of my window. And it made me realize, fuck, it's almost here.
Yeah.
Winter, that is.
I know, right? I remember that. Like, you just get out, you're like, uh-oh, it is time. But Bickler, what's happening? You look different today. What's different?
I'm just tired, man. I've been up since 5:30. Work has been insane.
Hey, you guys should get up early. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm coming down sick, so I'm sitting over here doing what everybody does when they're trying to get healthy and slugging down some whiskey, trying to fight this thing off.
I think what is different is the beard is growing in to the point where it is as uncomfortable as the mustache. That is what's happening right now.
I'm quickly becoming the neckbeard guy, which is not what you want to be. But
you are looking a little LeBron-esque over there, let me tell you.
Yeah, it's weird because looks like the sides are not growing as fast as the rest, right?
I don't know, dude.
Is that by design, dude?
Work here. No. Do I look like I calculate how I look on a day-to-day
Give us
basis?
a behind the scenes of your stash and facial hair, you know?
Yeah, the behind the scenes is I make sure I have pants on in the morning. That's it.
We appreciate that, and so do the scenes. And
yes,
behind.
I know. I do it for legal reasons. That's it.
Fun fact, I'm not even gonna go there. But yes, I did tell you guys I just walked in from refereeing. Yes, Cersei, Allen, Dara jumping in over there, 90 degrees. Yikes. But it's dry heat, I hear over there. So I'm sure it's good. Let's jump right into it. Let's start with trivia as always. Today's trivia is Ballon d'Or related. No right or wrong answer over here. Do you even give a damn? Is today's trivia question, Bickler. Do you even give a damn who wins the Ballon d'Or?
No, it's a manufactured award, and it has nothing to do with who the best player in the world is.
That is the correct answer. Gally, what is your
yes?
Yeah, my answer was not nearly as diplomatic. It was basically going to go where Bickler normally goes to, which is 1 to 2 ways to insult the French.
Yes, yeah. I'm down with that too.
No, in all seriousness, I think it's an absolute joke. I do think people get too caught up in it, which I was kind of making the comments in the Discord chat. I get why we as Liverpool supporters might be frustrated today. But either way, I just come back to it's like any other of these types of awards. I feel like oftentimes they're a popularity contest or who should get the award, who we want to get the award. And it's not a team award. But maybe it should really be a team award because they normally give it to the player who played on the best team in Europe and also the best team that succeeded in a European competition, otherwise known as a kid from Spain.
Won the Champions League, I'm sure Mo would win. I don't think there's like a huge conspiracy theory. At the end of the day, I mean, yeah, the correct answer is we don't give a damn because I agree with Dara. It's more about politics and less about football. I find it normally kind of wrong, going back to what Gally, what you're saying, giving like an individual award for a team sport. I know we do man of the match and stuff like that, but this seems like too big to kind of like throw it on one player when we kind of preach about what a team sport it is and all that kind of stuff. Not only a team sport, it's a squad sport in that case because it's the whole freaking year. You got to be able to have a big squad, not just like the starting 11 and stuff. That for one, I know the only reason I care is because as Liverpool fans, we do want, our boys to be happy. And if they win, they will be happy. So I get that. I'm sure there's like a little bit of disappointment to it. But it's, for people on the other side of the pond over here, is just as accurate as the best song in Eurovision contest, winner of the Eurovision contest being the best music or something like that. It just has nothing freaking to do with it. It's a lot of politics.
People will feel better once they wrap their head around the fact that the French are never going to give this award to an African-born player, and the fact that they gave it to a second generation African born dude who married a Moroccan woman is probably as close as you're gonna get. So like just go there.
Yeah, and
Yeah, go ahead.
that's where I come back. I come back to the fact that it is a popularity contest, similar to things we have here. You know, when was the last time you heard the best film of the year at the Oscars and actually said that was the best movie I saw last year? Like it usually doesn't happen. It occasionally happens, just like occasionally the best player in the world wins this award. A few years ago, when Luka Modric finally broke through and ended the Messi Ronaldo run, I felt like he did deserve it because he was the best player playing for arguably the best side in Europe. They won the double, and he took Croatia all the way to the cusp of the World Cup, a country the size of Croatia, and he dragged them across the line. And it was like an award given to a player who wasn't the flashiest. It wasn't Messi or Ronaldo. To be honest, to me, the one that hurt me the most was when Virgil didn't win it after we won the league, because they gave it to Messi that year for a shitload of goals just because he was Lionel Messi. And that bothered me at that point. This doesn't really bother me, to be totally honest. And maybe that doesn't make me a diehard Liverpool Red. But Dembele, his numbers were ungodly, otherworldly. They won 4 trophies in 2025. And he played a huge role for France as well. So, like, to me, Dembele, and he stepped out of the Messi, Neymar, Mbappe shadow, and they won the European title, something they'd never done at that club, the year after all the stars left. So to me, I almost, in a way, I almost like that Dembele won, because I feel like it sticks it to Mbappe that Dembele got one before he did as a French-born player. Like, that's kind of cool to me, but it is unfortunate that it happened based against Mo. And I don't even want to get into the whole thing about being African-born, being Muslim, because those are all absolutely factors that shouldn't be.
Oh yeah, definitely. When we talk about
Dembele is also Muslim, by the way.
But they don't recognize it because he's French,
right?
Yes, he's he's franchised, if you will. But no, I mean, I think the Van Dijk one, I think, is the last one I watched. And as I was watching it, I was like, why the hell am I even watching this afterwards? And I'm like, thou shalt not ever watch this again. I don't normally watch award shows anyway, because I think they're all kind of like really stupid. And they just added this to the list over that. And people, from this year on, Trent is going to be winning it every year. So there's no point in even like discussing any further. So yeah.
Especially impressive from the Saudi league when he does it.
Yes, the 24-hour crew is back, Ozan. Okay, so more important things.
Luckily, we're only spending an hour together.
Barely, yeah. I think we overdosed on each other's company during that 24-hour by itself anyway. But even though actually we hung out the day before too, we were really asking.
I think we were fine. It was Angie that was hitting her max. You know what I mean?
She hit her max officially when Mike said hello to us on Friday night, the night before.
I think after I sent her to the Best Buy for the 3rd time in like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, she was a good sport, really running back and forth over there. I mean, honestly, like, you know, with going back to that, I mean, like Dara says Salah had better stats. I think, you know, if we win the Champions League, Mo wins it. Does that make it right? No, because it's this stupid award. That's why it's not really. I think we talked about it. We got yelled at when we called about the Club World Cup. This is even more stupid because there's no games being played as far as I'm concerned. So let's get to games being played. 5 in 5, Merseyside Derby. It's a 2-1. We always knew it was going to be tricky, regardless of, like, you know, the form and stuff. And this was a lot better Everton Bickler than what we're used to. What do you make of the game? People are never happy. And I think, you know, I know when we were doing the post-match, Gally was there, like with Kazi and Serzi and stuff like that. I know we conceded and made it a bit more, I don't know, sit on the edge of the seats than it had to be. But at the end of the day, it's a Merseyside Derby that was won fairly easily, I think.
Yeah, it was comfortable. I mean, I think there's still, you could still make the argument this team needs to learn somehow to play on the front foot when they're, you know, they're ahead, which is ironically something we did really, really well in the first 5 games under Slot and haven't done so well this year. But I think a lot of that just has to do with all the different pieces that have been added to the squad over the summer, right? And I thought it was comfortable. I know Everton fans are complaining about the ref. Listen, I am a huge, I think Darren England is one of my top 3 least favorite refs in this league. I think if anything, I thought it was pretty fairly refereed throughout. If anything, I thought he called it too tight, which disrupted play, which only benefited Everton, in my opinion, because I think that we benefit from a more open, free-flowing game than Everton does. So, I mean, if anything, I thought it was just a little bit quick on the whistle for what we usually see in a derby, where you it's pretty open and you can play through.
That's fair, actually. I hadn't thought of that. That's a good point. I mean, it did not feel like we were talking about the galley, partially because, especially in the beginning, we moved the ball so well. They could not even get close enough to put a body on or to make contact or to foul or anything like that. It was like extremely dominant in the beginning. Probably the best we played all season for, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes or so, probably. But then eventually that kind of went away. Why do you think it's slowly waned away?
So I really don't want to get Kazi going right now, nor give him victory laps. Think he was right, but I do think it was a little bit tactical. Like, I think the manager called off the dogs a bit after about 30, 40 minutes. I think there's a two-parter to it. I think one, he wanted to rest legs because he knows that they have another. That was a huge week. You play Burnley, then you play Madrid, then you get the Merseyside Derby. Then you got to play 72 hours later in a League Cup. And we can all laugh about the Moose Cup, but guess what? A bunch of guys who get to play tomorrow are really excited for this match because they've been waiting for an opportunity to play. So they want to go at it. Then you have, arguably, in my opinion, what might be the toughest fixture we've played so far this year at Selhurst Park next Saturday.
Yeah.
Then you travel to Istanbul to play Galatasaray, and then you get Chelsea before the break. So, this is 3 consecutive heavy-duty lifting weeks while we're trying to bet in multiple players and get guys up to speed that aren't already at full fitness. And I think the coach said, we're going to come out guns blazing. We're going to try to take a lead. They did. And I think he did ask for them to pull back a bit. I don't think he said, sit back and let them come at you and get outplayed for the first 20 minutes of the second half. But I think when you start to couple in how bad McAllister looked minute by minute as the match got further and further into it, I think McAllister looked pretty good for the first 20 minutes, which goes in hand with why we look so good. But I think as he started to tire, other guys had to pick up pieces. It wasn't working. Gakpo was really poor. The one thing I will throw out there, for the first time ever, 6 teams from the Premier League played in the Champions League midweek. 1 secured 3 points this weekend. That was Liverpool Football Club. Every other club lost or drew, most of which dropped points in matches they shouldn't have, outside of maybe Arsenal and City. Yeah. So to me, this just shows what those midweek matches can do to you on short rest. And when you couple that with a match that, even when Everton is at relegation fodder, it's still a tough match. And let's be real here. We can laugh at them all we want. We can poke fun. That Everton side who showed up on Saturday isn't one who is getting relegated anytime soon. That's an Everton side who's probably going to finish in the top half of the table. So they have some talent. They played pretty well. I think if Moyes went for it, they would have got something out of the match. He just didn't even have the stones, though we were trying to give them a foothold in the match to actually go for it until they got the goal. And did you ever really believe the match was going to be tied up? I kind of did, just because of what we've been seeing, but never at any point did they create opportunities. If it isn't for McAllister giving the ball away where he does on the pitch, I don't think they even score the 1 goal they got. So for me, this felt like it was more about, a moment of magic, the guy making a great finish, and us having revisionist history about giving up 2-goal leads. That was a pretty dominant performance, in my opinion, against a decent side.
I think part of it was probably PTSD from last year's game as well. Something happening in the last second and stuff like that. Plus, and I think this is probably the biggest concern that I have, and I think we talked about this briefly in the post-match, Bickler, is we have kind of opened the door to letting people think, even when they're down 2-0, this thing is not over yet. I mean, there is something to be said about having a mentality to win and other teams almost expecting something to happen for us in the final minutes of the game. These guys are going to score in the last minute. There's that psychological advantage. But I almost feel like when we're up 2-0, because we always leave the door open, I think there is still a glimmer of hope. And I mean, I'm sure that halftime talk said, hey, this is the same team that gave up leads against this team, this team, this team.
Yeah, I mean, I think you only have to flip the year-to-year results to sort of see the optics of that, right? I think a year ago, when you looked at the side, if you were 6 weeks into the season, you said, oh, if they're up by more than the goal, forget about it. It's over, right? Yeah. And so now it's kind of the opposite. I think the only good thing you have from an optics standpoint is, well, shit, when we hit injury time, they're going to score. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So like you do have that going for you, but you'd be in a world of trouble if you didn't, right? I mean, think about how many of these could be draws, right? And that's kind of the scary thing to think about. But yeah, I do agree that there is some sort of psychological con to the fact that, like, if you're playing Liverpool, you have to feel to some extent you're still in it no matter what, right? So I just keep coming back to the fact that there's so many moving parts in the side that are still gelling. Like, we've yet to see the best part of the side. If you have any positive to take away outside of just the fact that they're churning out results, this was the best first half of football we've seen this year from the side, and I think it was pretty emphatically so.
Yeah, I mean, Dara says we wanted improvements and we got them. I'm happy. I think so too. I think there was a lot performance-wise. I think I put the Atletico Madrid game in this category too. I put those two games in a different category than the first few games in terms of like the play. If anything, you can complain about not putting the game away a lot earlier. I think there were way too many chances to make it 3-1, 4-1, and just pull away, and we just did not, kept the other team in there. So just as flip side is we have also created the narrative that we play to the whistle and go for a win. Yeah, I mean, going back to what Gally's saying, if this is the script, if you make a script for this as a sequel, like Fast and Furious 23, it would be them tying and then we getting like a 93rd goal. And I'd be like, it's the same goddamn movie again, kind of a deal. But I think there has to be something to be said about, like, going back to what you're saying, Gally. I think the last two games, we have been more sound defensively. I had complained in the Bournemouth game and the Newcastle game that we were kind of like attacking a little out of control. McAllister being there definitely helps that. But Gravenberch definitely being there, because he missed the first game first, like the Bournemouth game, for example. It gives them stability so we do not get caught outnumbered on a counter.
Yeah, I mean, he was great at the beginning there. I mean, Gravenberch has just been unbelievable. Let's be real. Yeah. What we're watching right now is special. I made the comment one day, like, he's everything every English fan wants Jude Bellingham to be, and Bellingham isn't. Like, and I know, like, we all poked fun because we were all in for Bellingham. Let's be real. Let's hold our hands up and be honest. We wanted the player to sign. We thought it might happen, but like, we kind of laughed when Klopp was like, yeah, I have a short list of 2 or 3 names. And it was like Jude Bellingham, I think it was the Tuchemeni kid, and then it was Ryan Gravenberch. Like, He was his third option, which is funny, seeing that he got him and then spent an entire season not playing him, just for us to question whether he could make it. Then we tried to sign Zubimendi, and then we end up
he's not a
having
fit,
him
though. Like going back to what you're saying.
No, I think you're right. He didn't fit
the club midfield.
No, he didn't fit it, because I think at the time he thought he was going to be more of the box to box number 8. Like, I think he thought he would be more Gini Wijnaldum, and he turned out to be more of like a deeper lying Xavi Alonso type player. Like, he thought he ended up being more of a player who could create from deep. When he starts adding goals in, and like that goal he scores, that's such a good finish. But what's even more impressive than the finish is the pass to Ekitike and the class he shows and the weight on that ball he puts in, which, by the way, I kind of criticized McAllister for turning the ball over to lead to the McAllister goal. He also creates the turnover that quickly springs Gravenberch forward, that springs Ekitike into that space. And it was clear we were trying to target that space in between the left-sided center back and Mikalenko, in between Mo. Obviously, both goals come right from that channel.
That's a great ball by Mo, by the way, too. I know like everybody like that is perfectly weighted. Is a great ball in. Gets
it over the shoulder, and he gives Gravenberch the chance to make a world-class finish by giving a world-class pass. So
yeah,
and if Gakpo doesn't sky the volley, it's 3-1. if Mo doesn't blaze one over the bar where he cuts in on his left foot, that you're used to seeing him at least get on frame. So there were opportunities to close that game out before it even got to the point where we got less than lackluster. But what Gravenberch is doing right now, and to be fair, the partnership he's building with Soboslai is something to be called. It's something to be talked about.
I
It's
think the
amazing.
craziest thing about Gravenberch is like, so we're talking about adding goals, but like he's actually getting better in every facet of his game. Like to me, the thing that's the biggest improvement for him, that's probably the most crucial for his role in this midfield, is he's getting more physical. Like he's actually bodying people in the midfield now, which, you know, we hadn't seen in the previous years. So if you can get that blend of a true box to box, a deep line playmaker that can do those things and get forward, but also one that can do a little bit of Fabinho and sort of body people in the midfield. Like that's like, to me, you're putting him in a new category now. Like he's a complete all around midfielder, and he's going to be like, if he continues to do that, he's going to be one of the top 3-4 midfielders in the world.
I think so, because in a double pivot, like that 6 who can be actually an 8, like you can't tell if he's a 6 or an 8, is just golden and very, very difficult to do. Fabinho would not be able to do that, guy. He was a 6. He could never convert to a slight 8. Genie could be an 8, but I don't think he could ever be a 6.
Yep.
So there's like, that's a really, really tough position.
Put that next to
do.
Soboslai. You have 2 pistons in the midfield that are
Yeah.
consistently running back and forth. It's going to be very, very scary.
I mean, that's the thing, Bickler. I think right now, when you look at midfield, because of mainly McAllister, and then because of the right back situation we have, the fact that we had to move Szoboszlai over there with Bradley coming back, Frimpong's injury and stuff, I think a lot of the decisions being made are not only tactical, it's basically the cheat sheet that the physios give to Slot, saying like, this guy's got 55 minutes, this guy's got like 80 minutes, and he's trying to kind of fit those pieces together. I think up top, I mean, obviously we're kind of like slowly going to build Isak back in there, but my question to you is, I assume all of us expect Rio to get a start tomorrow on left wing. Do you think like a game like tomorrow, a really good performance would kind of rock Gakpo's status a little bit? Is Rio the next guy in line over there? Because Gakpo has not been himself. I don't know if it's like not clicking yet with Kirkez, or people are kind of like onto him cutting inside all the time, and he hasn't developed a counter yet. But do you think Rio will go up to that, or with the form Ekitike is in, he's next in line behind Gakpo?
Personally, I think it's got to be Rio, because I think Ekitike is still like, to me, he's a starting 11 player, and until you prove otherwise, I don't think you can drop him. I think Hugo has kind of locked himself in, and we talk about the best 30 minutes of a half, and we just talked and waxed poetic about Gravenberch, and for good reason. I thought Hugo was the best player on that pitch, not named Jack Grealish. And I thought he was absolutely box office that first half. And like, more so than ever, the more I watch him, I thought that game, that first half, the way he played, the way he dropped deep, the way he's clinical, the way he puts it, I purposely puts it through the goalkeeper's legs. I'm seeing prime Torres, which is wild. Like, and I don't know, like, I think that to me, he's undroppable right now from a starting 11. So if you're looking at a cup match, I think it's got to be Rio. I mean, this is probably a prime opportunity. If you ever had any inkling, if you had any sort of love in your heart at all for Chiesa, I think Chiesa's probably playing here as well. But like, you know, we shall see.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. The thing I like about Ekitike is, I was talking a little bit about it this morning. I wish we did that a bit more. He kind of takes that shot really fast there, Gally. That's kind of like part of like, because he's a scorer, he's a striker and stuff, but he doesn't try to, I guarantee you, anybody else, whether it be Gakpo, Wirtz, or whoever, is kind of like dwelling on the ball a little bit too much these days instead of just like shooting it. That situation is probably lost because they're trying to cut it in or something like that, trying to get the perfect shots mechanics wise. It's not the prettiest shots, but I think it's effective because he takes it early and before even like Pickford is like sets. I really wish we saw that a bit more. I think that's one of the biggest reasons. Like, the one with Veers, for example, just freaking shoot it. It doesn't have to be the perfect shot. Sometimes you just gotta. It doesn't matter if you toe poke, poke it and like just put it in the net. But same question to you, I guess. Though I agree with Bickler in terms of Ekitike, but you would think you have to start, if nothing else, to build his minutes, get Isak in there. What will be the answer on the left-hand side? Not to mention, I mean, I don't want to like throw Gakpo under the bus like 5 weeks into the season, but there has to be. I think last year we talked about Diaz constantly pushing him, and it was like, if this is not working, then this is going to work. The natural alternative to Diaz sounds like Rio, just because of style.
I mean, I do think it's interesting that we've seen Wirtz instituted into the lineup twice to play the left wing. I didn't like it. I didn't like it against Everton. I thought it was really bad. And I just don't think he's strong enough to play the left-hand side of our type of setup because I don't think he can do the defensive work. We all talk about Cody Gakpo not being strong enough and have enough work rate. I think Wirtz does the running. I don't think physically. I mean, he comes into that match and he just gets absolutely bullied by 2 Everton players and he turns the ball over and then gives that yellow card up. And it's like, ugh, I don't know about this in the Premier League. Looked a little different in the Champions League. So maybe there's ways you could see him out there. But in a traditional 4-3-3 formation, I just don't think Wirtz is an answer on the left-hand side. And I think that's why you have to answer the question about the midfield, because at this point, Szoboszlai is, undroppable at this point. He has to play. When it comes to Isak and Ekitike, I'm kind of with Paul here. I think Ekitike has earned the shirt at this point. I mean, 4 goals in 3 matches in the Premier League to start your career is pretty impressive. Or 4 and 5, whatever it is for the counting.
4 and 5. I think. Yeah.
A couple of assists and great link-up play. The other thing that gets lost in all this is when Isak came to England, he played on the left-hand side, so Wilson could play through the middle. So it's not like Isak can't operate on the left. And I know everyone just assumes because he's the record signing and he got the number 9 shirt that eventually he'll be the starter. And I do think the goal is to get him to match fitness and build this offense around him. But we've seen Ekitike play with Marmoush where he played off a striker. Paul's talked about how well he drops deep. Like maybe there is a world where it's a formational change and Wirtz ends up playing out on the left and we end up playing with 2 strikers up top, and it's Isak and Ekitike playing off each other with their strengths. Now, that's probably a post-Mo Salah world, which is a world for a different podcast, people. I am not advocating that he goes today. We'll have that conversation later in the season. But that was mine and Paul's hot takes last weekend when we pissed everybody off, telling them that we were going to sell our 2.
You guys had way too many transfer hot takes.
We were getting rid of our player of the year and second best player of the year from last season, and McAllister and Mo in one afternoon.
I think Tim succinctly touched. Like he succinctly shut that down.
He didn't even
no transfer talk for another at least 2 months.
He didn't even let people get mad at me, which is unusual. Normally, it doesn't take anyone but a minute. Tim shut it down. But what I look at it as is we have this huge surplus of talent. But to answer the actual question that you asked me and Paul 11 minutes ago, and neither of us answered. If Rio has an outstanding match tomorrow, he is getting closer and closer to putting himself in the frame for battling for a starting position. Because I think the challenge in preseason was make yourself part of this setup. And he did. And then I think the challenge in the early part of the season was make yourself a viable option off the bench when we need to change a match. And he did.
And the kid he's come in and he's been the most dangerous player on the pitch when Mo Salah's on it.
On the pitch. Yes. And I think that's where I think now the challenge is make yourself a viable option from the start of matches. And it starts tomorrow with his first ever start in a meaningful competition. And then I think he probably gets one at some point in the Champions League next, to be honest. Maybe like one of the pot 3 or 4 teams. Because I really think the manager is making him work to earn the right to start in the league. But once we see him in the league, it might be his job. Because we saw this with Sterling in 13-14. If you are good enough, you are old enough. And I think he is quietly showing us he's good enough. And I'll just say this, that pass against Burnley across the pitch that should have scored the goal if Frimpong takes it first time, that's a pass that I don't know that anyone else on the pitch would have seen, let alone actually try to do. And that's what I remember about Sterling. He was almost too dumb for his own good when he first came up. And it helped.
A veteran player doesn't even try that pass.
But it helped him embed himself with the players. So I think you're spot on, Tim. I think he's this close.
I think the thing with him is he takes advantage of the fact that, I mean, we talk about like Mo on the right-hand side. I think, similar to what Diaz did, he takes advantage of that, not having as many numbers on him on the opposite side. And what I like about him, and I think this is what we're missing with Gakpo, to be honest with you, is with Rio, he's a bit harder to defend because you don't know if he's going to take it to the line or if he's going to cut in. I think we have come to the point where it has become a bit too predictable with Gakpo at times, where he's not going to take it to the line. It's almost like a bit easier to defend, it feels like. So I think if he does, I don't think he suddenly starts starting, but I think if he has a solid performance tomorrow, you're already seeing him come off the bench. And that's a lot of faith for a manager to have in a kid, to put him into a game where like he doesn't roll the dice and go with the experience and stuff like that. He wants the fresher legs. The only thing that we have to see, I think, Rio, is, we hammered Gakpo for like a long time on this, is defensive work. How much defensive work he's going to do when he plays. So I think if we see something from him, we know he can go at players. We know he's a good winger. He can get past and he can do stuff attacking. What I really do want to see, and I know this is not what most people want to see, is I want to see him in the rest of the game. Like, what is his defensive work? Does he come and help Kerkez? Does he drop? I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be Robertson tomorrow, which is probably better for him to play with Robertson than Kerkez tomorrow, to be honest with you. But I think I just want to see that for him to get more minutes. But I think we come to a world where, similar to what we did last season, where we took Gakpo off, either slid Diaz to the left, like put Nunez in the middle or something like that. But I think we see more and more of that 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and slowly build them up. Isak thing is like a whole ordeal. Do you guys, Bickler, do you think we see Isak tomorrow? I know we're going to do predictions, but while we're talking about like frontline options, do you think we see Isak tomorrow to kind of get in the feel of things, or do you want to throw him out there in front of a championship team?
I mean, I think we do. I mean, because I think what you're looking to do is get him some sort of rhythm, right? Like get him some minutes. Like it makes sense for me to give him 45 minutes. I wouldn't mind seeing him for a half for sure.
How about you, Gally? Like, do you expect to see him tomorrow? I mean, I figured he will get some minutes.
I think he's going to start.
Starts? Okay.
I do. And I think the reason he starts is the same reason he started against Atletico Madrid. It allows the training team and it allows the coaches to put him through an entire warm-up with the rest of the squad, get up to like fitness and match running and not be warming up on his own. And then try to, because let's be real, he looked pretty good, better than I thought against Atletico Madrid. And I made the comment in the post-match with you, Tim, like I thought that it was almost like the adrenaline of making his first appearance for Liverpool against Atletico helped push him through. And I think yesterday we saw the guy who looked gassed after he walked on the pitch and clapped. He clapped a couple guys on the crowd and then he was out of breath. And he was literally, I mean, at one point the ball just like he watched a ball just roll out of bounds. He didn't even go for it. He wasn't pressing at all. Like he didn't look up for the match. He looked like a fish out of water, in my opinion.
He looked like Gakpo when he came in off the bench a couple of times last season.
Against United or the Chelsea match.
Dude, you just got in. Can you run? I mean,
he did. He looked, and I don't like to say it, but he almost looked disinterested. And for that, I think he starts tomorrow. I mean, the manager's already said, right? No Konate, no Van Dijk, no Mo, no Szoboszlai, no Gravenberch. Not even in the match day squad.
Yep.
So that to me alone lets me think, if it were me, and maybe we'll go through the lineups now, talk preview for this match, I would start with Isak, Chiesa, and Rio up top with Wirtz behind them. And I would try to get Wirtz and Isak like 2 goals and an assist each in the first half so they can get some confidence and feel good. And I know there's the negative side. They could play poorly against a bad championship team, and then there's even more question marks. But those 4 would be my front 4. I'm not going to lie to you. for some reason, and maybe it's because I've been touting the Italian so long, I have this sneaky suspicion that everybody expects Chiesa's name's the first name on the team sheet, and he's going to be on the bench. Like, I genuinely think there's a world where Bradley and Frimpong start tomorrow, and then at halftime, Chiesa comes in and they move Frimpong back to right back. For one, continuity at right back, and two, to Kazi's point, we have to see Frimpong on the right if he is a viable option to play the right when Mo goes to AFCON. Like, it wouldn't shock me. I mean, the fact Chiesa didn't make the bench in the Merseyside Derby was a I'm starting to come around that, like, it's way beyond just we only have so many numbers and being left off Champions League squad. I hope I'm wrong, but I wouldn't be absolutely shocked if that happened. If it were me, it's Isak for 45. I'd bring in Ekitike at halftime, and I'd tell Ekitike, this is not a slight on you. You're only playing about 20, 30 minutes, and we're going to get this Dan's kid the last 10, 15 minutes of this match just to get a run out. You're going to be sub for a sub, or we're going to move you out to the left to come in for Rio and try something a little, like, we're using this as a training style match, because to me, they're deep enough now to play the players that they have and get them minutes. But I also think there are certain guys who need minutes more. Like, I'd play Nioni before I started Jones, because I think the manager is absolutely shown he knows what he has in Curtis Jones. And right now it's his fourth best midfielder and the most important one to come off the bench.
I mean, I don't know. The only thing I don't like about that whole theory you threw out there is I don't think Bradley can play again after playing the weekends, unless you don't want to see him for a while. Knowing how Bradley is, I would think you kind of like wrap up Bradley a little bit, or you do a 60-30. If, like, he wasn't resting both center backs, I could have seen him and Gomez as right back at one point.
Oh, you're right. Maybe that's the opposite. Maybe you start Frimpong at right back and you bring in Bradley at 60 minutes.
I would think that just because you want to, like I say, a lot of these decision making right now, Bickler, is going off of, like, how many minutes does this guy's leg have? How many minutes does this guy's leg have, and stuff like that. So I would think, like, Frimpong will get the rod. Probably, I mean, we eliminated everybody else, so automatically it's going to be Gomez and Leone as center backs. You would think Robertson. Midfield is a big question mark. I mean, the fact that he's not in the Champions League, I feel like Chiesa will be out there, because I know what Gally is saying, but he's already not in the Champions League. This is the only game this dude can play. He doesn't even come off the bench, the poor bastard. So I would think he would get a run out there, if nothing else, to get rest on other people. The midfield, because I mean, Ando is still there. I mean, I had totally forgotten about him. He hasn't, like, made appearances. The problem is we haven't won the games very comfortably to be able to kind of, like, maybe get some more minutes to Ando and Jones and stuff like that. Wirtz or Nioni? Because I'm assuming if it's not Wirtz, it will probably be Nioni there. I do like the theory of getting Wirtz out there for a couple, like, a half or 60 minutes.
A couple things. Back to the Frimpong thing. Maybe this is PTSD from the Soboslai conversation of last year. I'm not convinced we're going to see him up top. And I'll tell you why, because I think that the whole Ekitike thing makes it so you can get through AFCON without that. Because you essentially have Rio, Gakpo, Ekitike, and Isak, right? How does Frimpong crack that? I'm not sure he does. The other thing that I want to talk about is, like, if you're putting Wirtz in this lineup, I would assume Jones is in there, right? So you've got two locks. Like, I think you're choosing between Nioni and Endo. And for me, it's Nioni, and then you put Endo in the final 20, 30 minutes.
So you're playing Nioni as the defensive mid?
I'm playing Jones as the defensive. Yeah. I'd put Nioni in the position where essentially Soboslai is. That's where I'd play him. I'd play him there. Now, you can mix and match. Jones has certainly played up top right? But I think Jones has shown you that he has a capability of playing that holding position. The last time we saw him play it, he was fucking phenomenal in it. And that's what I do. I do Nioni, I do Jones, I do Wirtz, and I'd put Endo in for your final. I don't think you can start an Endo anymore. And everybody knows I'm a huge Endo fan. I just don't think that it makes sense to start him. I think he's your Milner role. I think he comes in and closes matches. He gets an unnecessary yellow in a scary position, but, like, at least it's disrupting play, right? Like, to me, that's what makes sense. I agree with you on the Bradley thing. The other thing that the last game, I'm not as high on Bradley's performance this week as everybody else was. And I kind of am wondering if we have the right back that if we have the right back that Slot wants on this team. Like, I'm not sure we do, because I think that Bradley, like, to me, he still gambles in dangerous positions, and maybe that's just being young, right? But like, I just don't know that he has the durability that you need at that spot in this league right now. And so I still think there's a big question mark on the right back position on the side. And I think the back line to me is going to be very, very intriguing for this match, because I don't know that you can plug Leone in right now, as much as everybody wants to see him. So it's like really Gomez. And traditionally in these matches, we see veteran players straight up the spine to the side, when even though we're starting all these young kids around it. So like, I mean, who is that veteran? Maybe it's Gomez, right? If by default you're not playing Konate and Verge. So it's going to be really interesting, because that means that you're either starting Leone, which I'm still like kind of like questionable as to whether we pull him in, or you're starting somebody like outside of the box, like Endo. Like, I don't know. I think it's going to be very interesting.
That's
to see
a good shout, actually. I can
It's
see
gonna be interesting.
That.
Yeah,
he made it sound pretty clear that Leone was playing.
Okay,
he made
all right.
In the press conference. They didn't have a press conference today, but he mentioned it after the match when asked. He basically said, "We have full faith in this kid. We wouldn't." I think he said we wouldn't be opposed to start him in any match.
Well, to me, that writes the center back position for itself, right? It's going to be Gomez and it's going to be Leone, unless you do something crazy like Endo and then push Gomez to right back.
I like that Endo shot, but I would think if you, again, like same thing with the case, I think if you're not going to play Leone now, when would you play? But hold on, Bickler, let me stay with you then, because I honestly thought Bradley did well, because defensively, you had one guy to stop at Everton, and I think he did a pretty darn good job of it. I think he got a lot of help to do it, because we did always put two in front of Grealish and stuff. But I thought he did well overall to, first of all, get under his skin, kind of like bother him, bug him, be physical with him. I'm more worried about his durability and stuff. But you said he doesn't have the right back. So what do you think the vision was when we signed Frimpong? Is he the right back he wants? Or like, what do you think the vision was? Because obviously we went and spent the money and got him.
Well, first of all, we didn't have Isak yet, right? So I think you're looking at a player that fits a position that you probably want, that has positional versatility across the entire right side of the pitch, right?
Okay.
And so it makes it so that if you don't get Isak, you're not completely in the weeds. Like, I think it's just a straight up positional versatility thing with Frimpong. And what Frimpong also gives you the ability to do is, if he's not in a starting lineup, it gives you the ability to take him off the bench and insert a huge injection of pace into a side when you're chasing a match.
Well, I asked you then, the galley, like 2 months down the road over here, everybody's healthy. Who's your starting right back? Who's Slot's starting right back? I'm sorry. Let me ask that way.
Well, I'll be honest. I think it depends on the opponent. I think it depends on the tactics and the day. I think we're being harsh on Bradley for the fact that it's part of the reason I'd want to start him 48 hours, 72 hours is I think at some point he has to prove whether he can play 2.5 matches a week. And if he can't, then he's probably not the long-term option. But he is 23 years old and gone through some rough injuries, but they're mostly like been down to like growth and like muscle type style injuries that happen to a lot of young players. He grew 6 inches in 2.5 years. That's a lot. Like for a player.
I've been there, done that.
You grew 6 inches? What were you,
actually,
3
yeah,
foot 4?
You should have. You think I'm short now? You should have seen me before.
I make the joke all the time. I graduated high school under 5'2". I was like 19. I was like 5'8", and I thought I was a fucking giant. But no, I think they didn't give Bradley a contract through 2030 because they don't believe in the player, or that the coach doesn't believe in the player. I think he does like the player. I'm with Paul that I think there's times where I think he questions which one is the right fit. And I don't know that either of them actually work with Mo. And I think that might be the bigger problem that nobody wants to talk about. Because when both of them looked really good all summer when they were playing together?
Yeah.
When Bradley was right back and Frimpong was right wing, it looked really, really good. That's the only reason I thought maybe we see that at AFCON. Like, it was almost like a precursor. And I think there's a lot to this setup. And we don't have to get into transfer talk for next summer.
Yes.
So I don't get yelled at again. But I think there's a lot of this
Jesus.
setup that makes you question how it fits with Mo Salah. And I think it's why, even though Mo Salah has played pretty well at times, he's been overly criticized for drifting and not being as involved or not being at his upward best. Because I don't know that Wirtz makes Salah better the way Szoboszlai made Salah better, or that, you know, McAllister on the right makes Szoboszlai or Gravenberch on the right makes Mo better than, say, Hendo made Mo better. And the way Trent made Mo better. Everyone for the last 7 years at this club, their entire job was to make Mo Salah the best player in England and in the Liverpool setup. And we saw it irritate Mane to the point where he wanted to leave. We saw it weigh on some other players. I think in some ways it's part of the reason Trent even felt like going, like, no matter what I do, it's always me just passing to Mo Salah and finding Mo Salah.
See,
And
I think Mo
I love
has-
him, but I do think it has to change and his play has to change. I just don't think it fits the pieces they have around him at this point.
See, I think it has changed though. Like, I think Mo's game has changed, and some of the criticism I think that people send his way is the fact that we kind of expect it to be the old Mo, but the new Mo. I mean, the new Mo is the one that's had the huge assist to Gravenberch this weekend, and I almost feel like Bickler that the ideal right, but I think Bradley right now is a better fit to play along with Mo because he likes running the inside a lot more than Frimpong. Frimpong being the faster dude, I think he probably would rather overlap and go on the outside. Whereas I think the way Mo plays now and takes the player out wide with him and creates that space between the center back and the left back, that's where Bradley likes making those runs. So probably if you want to pair up with Mo, Bradley seems to me a natural fit just because of the runs that he makes.
I think I'm curious to know is whether the whole like Mo pushed out wide thing is a purposely tactical thing, or if he's doing that because Szoboszlai is pushing him out wide. Because Szoboszlai occupies that inside channel so much. Like it just, I don't know if it's a natural result of that or whether it's been something that's tactically been talked about. And maybe that's a naive take, but it's just me. Like, I don't know enough about like when I look at this. You know, we remember last year when Mo got that weird thing where he was isolated up top out wide and we couldn't figure out, like he was playing, like it was like they were playing a 10-man formation and then Mo was isolated out like in this weird fucking island. Like I just don't know how much of it is tactical and how much of it is a result of the way that this side is designed to play through the middle. So it's naturally forcing him out wide.
Yeah, I mean, I know he talked about it as one of his like press conferences. I can't remember if it was like pre or post or which one it was, but talking about in terms of like he wants Mo more involved and getting more touches, but that's really depending more on the right hand side than Mo himself, because you know you don't want to bring Mo to the halfway line just to get a touch on the ball. He's not like a false nine that he's going to drop back. I think you know he wants to get him more involved, but I think that really depends on. I think that's the difference when you have Szoboszlai on the, for example, as a right back, as opposed to having Bradley. I think we saw more of Mo. And I mean, Dara says, I have no issues with how Mo is contributing to the team. I'm there too. I just do not understand. I was talking about, I think, with Kazi on Friday, and I think the short just went out on it. I just do not understand the criticism that Mo gets just because he set like a ridiculous bar for himself. I feel like he has been fairly effective. I mean, it's not the old Mo.
Well, that's it. You just said what the criticism is.
Correct.
Criticism is he's like unreal from a goal contribution standpoint, and he just signed a massive contract.
But you're still getting the goal contributions. You're still getting the assists. You're still getting the goals. Well, I think he started at a record rate, but if you look at the end of last year, for example, Gally, the numbers had gone down because
the numbers go down.
It was obnoxious.
They go down every season after February. Every season he's been at Liverpool, he runs out of steam at the second half of the year. So hopefully this year it changes different. I don't have a problem with it outside of the fact that I think it's two parts. One, he has, to your point, and you said it in the short, and you were right, he has set an unattainable level to try to hold yourself up to, especially as you get older. But Father Time wins every battle. Right? Like it's one thing age doesn't lose. And we are seeing that it is impacting him, even with his touch, and maybe that's him trying to do a little too much here and there on the ball. The other part of it that I think gives supporters a narrative and something to hang on is even when he isn't playing well, he has never taken off. And that means that we continue to watch him with loose touches. Like you were calling in the Discord chat at one point, like, can we get Frimpong on? Like, and I know you weren't saying for Mo specific, and maybe I don't think you would have been
It
mad
was
if Mo
mainly
got
for
booked.
Mo because I figured it was like 5 minutes to go. You're trying to defend. You get some pace out there. Like, why not, right?
And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth and being like, haha, you had a short and you were calling for Mo to be subbed on Saturday. That's not what I'm saying. But I think supporters as a whole almost feel like it's taboo. We talk about every player can be dropped. Anyone can fall out of form. I mean, I have railed that I thought McAllister was the most important player in the entire setup all last season, as good as Mo and Virgil were at our title winning season. And I'm the first one to say, like, he really shouldn't be starting matches right now. And you saw it in that match. And I know Dara made the joke, and everyone loves it when we say something nice about Jones, and then they're like, oh, phenomenal and Jones in the same sentence. Curtis Jones came back from injury. No one even thought he was going to make the bench. He was the first sub the manager put in when that Everton game got out of control, because he knew there was one guy on his bench he could rely on to go into that midfield, put their foot on top of the ball, and take control and slow things down for the side. And I thought Jones was great against Everton when he came on, and he created balance and he helped Gravenberch. So I think there's players like that you look at in this side. And I think because Mo has basically been undroppable since the moment he got to the club, I think now that he's starting to slow down a little, I think it's leading more supporters to say, hey, wait, if everybody has to play for the shirt, why does this guy get to play every minute regardless of form?
See, I think that's not understanding the game. When people say something like that, when you have a guy who can change a game, and he can change a game, that's why he's freaking Mo. That's why people are pissed off he didn't win today. He's a guy who can go missing. And when I say missing, probably more ineffective. Not like he stops running or anything like that. He's still making the runs and stuff. But I think when you have a guy like Mo, managers, and we've seen a lot of these players over the years, it is very, very difficult to take him off because he only needs 5 seconds to change the game for you. And you can put like an above average player or a good player there, but you are never going to get a Mo moment. That's what makes Mo Mo. Otherwise, there are a lot of good players that can make an impact in any game.
Sadio Mane did that every time he stepped on a pitch, and he got hooked off with 20 minutes to go. And it was right when Jurgen Klopp started to hook Mo at the end of matches and put other guys in and give people a shot, which is when everything fell out. And when he fell out with
him, like I said, that's why I was calling for it this weekend. I'm talking about, people thinking he's not effective today. So at the 60th minute, let's throw Chiesa over there. Get out of here. You don't know what to tell you. But if you're throwing like I was more after, throwing Frimpong out there, for example, if nothing else, like you're saying, so that Mo doesn't fall apart towards the end of the season. 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, you kind of add up and put some legs on him. And I feel like sometimes you need that extra pace and stuff like that to go over the top. But how many times, then again, having said that, to play the devil's advocate, how many times have we said that and we'd had a counter? How many highlights are there where the opponent is taking a corner kick and next thing you know, Mo was slotting it in on the other side to close the game off?
It's no questions asked. And no one is advocating that Mo Salah doesn't play or start most matches. But you asked why maybe supporters are being overly critical of him. I think part of it is that they get frustrated because they have these conversations, and every other player at times when they fall off form seems like it impacts them. Paul is saying that the record British signing has to figure out a way to fight off a kid, a 22-year-old, for a shirt. And I agree with it. I think that's where supporters do get frustrated, though, because they feel like they've never attempted to put a challenger to Mo Salah in that position as long as he's been at the club. And as long as it's Chiesa behind him, there won't be a challenger there for him.
But that's my thing. I don't know what you think, Bickler. In some ways, I don't give a damn what fucking fans think about Mo. It's what the other guys on the pitch think about having Mo out there. If those guys still feel like Mo being out there the best thing that can be for them, doesn't matter if the fan wants to see Chiesa for freaking 50 minutes so they can be entertained by somebody else because they're sick of seeing Mo. And I think it's a lot of that where yeah, sometimes he's not having a great game. His touch and stuff like can be off and stuff, but there's something to be. There are only so few of these players that can change a game like that.
I think it's a decent point, but we're not talking about what the players think. We're talking about what our supporters think. And like, I think that's the problem. Like, and I agree with you. I think as long like this player has proven so many times that he only needs one moment to make magic happen, right? So that's kind of what justifies him running 90 minutes. But I do think supporters think like, hey, when it's not working, where do you look? You look at your highest paid earner and who is like, we can discuss this, all day about whether he's underperforming or not. I just think, right now, when you look at this, you're used to seeing that level, and he's clearly not at that level where he's literally scoring and assisting every match. I mean, yes, did he have one last match? For sure. But I think we can all agree that he's not scoring at the rate that we're used to scoring. And that doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing for this side. And I think that's what supporters have to wrap their head around.
Yeah,
like,
that's
this side is designed to score from different areas now.
Question is, will he wrap his head around it? Because he doesn't look like he's enjoying it. He doesn't.
I don't think so. I mean, when you listen to like his interviews and stuff like that, he sees himself, I think, as a different role. I think he realizes he's not the same winger, and like similar to, we talked about this mostly with like center backs as they age, how they kind of adjust their game and stuff like defenders. But I think he's kind of been able to evolve his game. I remember when we were having conversations about Mo and Mane. This is exactly why I kept saying Mo, because you could see the potential for him to be able to evolve and create for others. Whereas when Mane lost the speed and agility, it was gone. And I think with Mo, it has stayed because he has evolved this game. And with Mane, we know what happened with Mane. I know Sorzi is still here. Probably he started crying now. But
he's in the fetal position.
You got to get him in the
fetal position right now. Just saying, I miss Mane.
In front of his Mane poster in the room. Yeah, probably. But
I just envision one of those like Catholic candles, like those like this, like he has like a little thing on his desk.
Hundreds of like a little shrine,
little vigil.
Let's wrap up with some predictions for tomorrow. We kind of like throw out our 11s over there. Some interesting combinations. I don't think I'll be surprised whatever the hell I see tomorrow. But what do you expect to see out of the game tomorrow, Gallia? And give me a score prediction.
Ooh, I think we're gonna see. I want a clean sheet, but it's so many changes that's so hard to ask. I'm gonna say 3-1. We walk away with a victory. Wirtz and Isak break the duck. And I think the surprise of the match is Mamardashvili is better with his feet than he gets credit for.
He actually has been good, like in preseason, maybe because we set the complete opposite of Mo.
Because the bar is set so low by the freaking giant. Yeah. How can a giant kick a ball like this?
But I know, like, when they first signed and stuff, we talked about him, like, it doesn't even make sense. He's not that good with his feet because we had just watched him at the Euro. So I think the bar is really low for him. So when he can pass it to the guy next to him, we're like, look at that feet. Pickler, prediction time.
Yeah, I was going to go 3-1. I'll stick with it. I think Isak scores. I can't get over the line with Wirtz, but I think Wirtz gives us an assist that makes us talk about it for a few days. I think Rio gets on the score sheet.
I like these scenarios. Timuchin special across the board. You know what? I'll hop on it. AR is going with the 2-0. I just feel like because of the setup we have in the back, whenever you have like a mishmash of like a back four, there's always something that gets screwed up. Not to mention, there's no VAR tomorrow, right? So an offside being blown
means it'll be an enjoyable game to watch.
Yes and no. I don't know. Anytime now, I'm like, man, now this is why we got it, VAR kind of a thing. I don't want to say 4-1. Whenever I go high, it's a miserable score. So I'll stick with the Timuchin special over here with the 3-1. But it'll be interesting. I kind of like enjoy these games. I want to see a lot of these players we talked about. I do want to see him in action over there. Ozan, you're killing me, man. Like, nobody needs that. A 3-2 in a game like that. Nobody needs that.
That team's barely been able to score in the championship. I think they have 4 goals or 5 goals. They scored 2 of them against Wrexham in stoppage time of the first match of the year.
Oh, like, that's
please,
right.
Please. Like, there's no chance. Like, I don't know. If that happens, that'll be really ominous. But I would ask you guys this. Is there any part of you that wouldn't kind of like to see them just bow out of this tournament tomorrow and have one less headache to deal with all through October, November, and January or December, where they would be 2 matches and 2 in January?
I want the extra matches because I want the Joneses and the Rios and the Leonis
to get their minutes. I know. But the problem is we always say that, and then what happens? There's an injury.
Mo Salah starts 90 minutes.
Mo Salah starting in the middle of November, and then plays a Champions League match and has City and Real Madrid in back-to-back matches. Absolutely,
that's fair. Yeah.
I'm not saying I want out of this tournament. I'm saying if we went out, I'm not positive it would be the worst thing in the world. This is the cup that everyone laughs at.
Like,
do you know the good thing is if we make this final, we don't have to argue about whether Kelleher should start it or not.
No, because Mamardashvili will start it, and you'll still be arguing it should be Allison.
No, nobody will mess with Mamardashvili if he says I'm starting.
Oh no,
even get the hell out of his way.
Yeah. Going back to Brazil, people.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I know what you mean, and honestly, if we lose, that's how we'll kind of like what we'll tell ourselves. But part of me says, kind of for the reasons Bickler is saying. Like for one, for people like Leone and Rio and stuff like that to get their minutes, and a trophy is a trophy, so why the hell not?
I picked them to win the tournament earlier in the year when we were doing predictions. I said we'd win the League Cup. I actually said that I want them to win 3-1. I asked the question though, like, if you don't go out there and trot out kids the way that, you know, Ari Redknapp used to for Spurs in the Europa League to make sure they got knocked out, like, there is something to be said for the fact that if you want to win the biggest of biggest honors, like people talk about the 2 times we went for the quad, and they always remind everyone that Liverpool finished those seasons winning the League Cup and didn't win either of the other 2 big trophies that they were going for, because that trophy takes an awful lot out of you at the busiest and toughest time of the English calendar, because you're playing all through December and through January, and then you go into that second half run and you get Premier League matches pushed because of the semifinal and the final. So you end up playing midweek match. It's worse than going deep in the FA Cup. The FA Cup, the league caters around.
I know what you mean in terms of like
that's all I'm saying. Like
extra games and stuff. And that will be the silver lining if we lost or something like that. But at the end of the day, I would not want to say, this is why I really liked him saying this guy is not playing. Not even on the bench where if shit goes south, they're going to come in or something like that. I kind of like that approach towards the League Cup. Ultimately, that's right. Damn it, Ozan, you freaking tell him I want the quad. Speaking of quads, they're killing me. My quads, not the quad, but that's a different story.
Got to get in the hot tub.
God.
But that'll be it for us today. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Obviously, we'll do like an early pre-match, and then actually the Rival Bros is on tomorrow at noon Central as well. Edip will be happy for once, and he's bringing for Ozan only. So Ozan better be in the live audience. He's bringing keshkek, which looks so disgusting. So just for that, you guys can hop on. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have an excellent week, everybody. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.